The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Pires. The Prime Minister points out the need to take policy decisions targeting exports. The Chief of Staff, Major General Vikum Lenage, to be appointed as the new commander of the Army. The Prime Minister's office introduces dedicated website for Gota Gogama to submit proposals. A new mobile application to monitor vehicles arriving at filling stations for refuelling. The Minister of Education says that all the duties will be operated properly to run the sector of education smoothly. The National Dengue Control Unit warns of a possible rise in dengue cases. Leading zoologist warns the butterflies we may never see again in Britain. The Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has pointed out the need to take policy decisions based on an economy targeting exports. He pointed out the economic crisis faced by the country at present can be overcome only through exports. The Prime Minister mentioned this when he met the heads of banks this morning. He said about 70 countries are facing various difficulties amid an economic crisis. He further said there is a risk of increasing international interest rates. The incumbent Chief of Staff, Major General Vikum Lenage, will be appointed as a new commander of the Army with effect from 1st of June. Meanwhile, the Chief of Staff, General Shavendra Silva, will assume office on the 1st of June as a new Chief of Defence Staff after relinquishing the office of the Commander of the Army on 31st May. General Shavendra Silva was serving as Acting Chief of Defence Staff at the time he was appointed to this new office. A special website will be introduced for the protesters at Gota Gama to be able to submit their proposals at any issues they are faced with. The website has been launched by the Prime Minister's office. The UNP Deputy Leader Ruwan Wijewardena, who was assigned by the Prime Minister to look into the issues faced by the Gota Gama protesters, said the protesters will now be able to communicate with the government via pmoffice.gov.lk. He added that those who come up with practical and constructive proposals will be allowed to meet Premier Ranil Wickremesinghe for a discussion. He also said that he is hoping that he would be able to team up with the protesters and win their demands shortly. The Energy Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara says a mobile application that is capable of monitoring vehicles arriving at filling stations for refueling and exchanging data instantly with other filling stations is being tested. He said the mobile application was developed by the Sri Lanka Police Information Technology Department. He added the vehicle's registered number of the customer who obtains fuel from filling stations will be included in the relevant application, and the data entered will be instantly exchanged with other filling stations. The minister said the proceeding will enable to know whether the vehicle has refueled at another location on the same day and have prior information on refueling the vehicle. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
The Minister of Education, Susil Premajanta, says all the duties will be functioned properly to run the sector of education smoothly. He said the ministry would take necessary measures to provide the education despite the current crisis. At an interview with the minister, he added the country is on the highest standard of education. He also admitted the fact that the country had not achieved much from the educational reforms introduced in the recent history. The minister further said he would pay special attention to upgrade the sector of vocational education to compete with the current world and take help from both the private and government sector in this regard. The National Dengue Control Unit warns of a possible rise in dengue cases, with data showing a spike in the cases during the first quarter of the year. Dr. Nimalka Pannelahetti says about 1,500 patients are reported for a week these days. It is also reported the Health Ministry is facing a shortage of chemicals to control dengue mosquitoes amid a severe shortage of dollars. According to the total dengue cases in the first 3 months of 2022 has increased to 17,123, nearly half of 35,924. The total dengue cases in 2021 when the country was mostly locked down. The National Dengue Control Unit has identified Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Gaul, Matra, Jaffna, Batticaloa, Trincomalee, Kalmune, Puttalam, Ratnapura and Kerala districts as high-risk dengue areas in the country. That ends local news for now.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi 60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A special website will be introduced for the protesters at Gota Go Gama to be able to submit their proposals and any issues they are faced with. The website has been launched by the Prime Minister's office. The UNP Deputy Leader Ruwan Wijewardena was assigned by the Prime Minister to look into the issues faced by the Gota Go Gama protesters, said the protesters will now be able to communicate via pmoffice.gov.lk. He added that those who come up with practical and constructive proposals will be allowed to meet Premier Ranil Wickremesinghe for a discussion. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight. The one-day and normal to obtain passports will be provided only to the applicants who have made prior appointments. The Department of Immigration and Immigration says its appointments can be made by visiting the official website of the Immigration and Immigration Department, www.immigration.gov.lk, or contacting over the telephone number 070-7101-6060. That number once again, Immigration and Immigration Department. You can contact over telephone number 070-7101-060. That came to you in Watchlight. Coming up, World News. World News headlines. Analysts say shipments of consumer electronics in Japan down 20%. UK's top diplomat says the Russian leader is weaponizing hunger and food shortages among world's poorest people. Leading zoologist warns the butterflies we may never see again in Britain. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of holding the world to ransom over food. During a visit to Bosnia on Thursday, she said that it is completely appalling that Putin was trying to hold the world to ransom, and he is essentially weaponizing hunger and lack of food amongst the poorest people around the world. She added that they simply cannot allow this to happen and Putin needs to remove the blockade on Ukrainian grain. The electronics consumers in Japan have dropped in April. Analysts say this was largely due to the effects of the coronavirus lockdown measures in Shanghai. The Japan Technology Industries Association says domestic shipments last month totaled about $710 million. Association officials say the April dip was due to coronavirus restrictions delaying production of home appliances in Shanghai. Shipments of TVs, digital recorders and other video devices were down 27%. For navigation systems and related products, they fell 16.9%. The officials say shipments of auto devices will also remain weak in the coming months. A report by Butterfly Conservation warns that 24 to 58 species may soon disappear from our shores. 5 more species are threatened with dying out than when the charity last compiled a red list 11 years ago. Head of Science for Butterfly Conservation, Dr. Richard Fox, says humans are driving the loss of butterflies by destroying wildlife-rich habitats. He told the BBC News that they have literally been destroyed, being ploughed up, covered in fertilizer and used to grow crops or for housing. Back to the world news headlines. Analysts say shipments of consumer electronics in Japan down 20%. UK's top diplomat says the Russian leader is weaponizing hunger and food shortages among world's poorest people. Leading zoologist warns the butterflies we may never see again in Britain. That ends World News. Continuing with development news, the Minister of Agriculture has taken steps to launch an island-wide cultivation drive. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said the relevant gazette will be issued soon. He said that there are about 100,000 hectares of abandoned paddy fields in the country and the highest number of them in the Western Province. He further said owners of those paddy fields have left the country. That came to you in development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
Today is the fourth day of the second test match between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh at Mirpur. Batting first, Bangladesh scored 365 in their first innings. Mushfiqur Rahim was not out on 175. Lytton Das scored 141 runs. Kasun Rajitha took 5 wickets and Asitha Fernando took 4 wickets for Sri Lanka. In a reply, Sri Lanka scored 506 in their first innings. Dinesh Chandimal scored 124 runs and Angelo Matthews was not out on 145. Dimuth Karunaratne, Oshada Fernando and Dhananjay De Silva scored half centuries for Sri Lanka. Bangladesh were 34 for 4 wickets in their second innings at close of play today. Asitha Fernando took 2 wickets and Kasun Rajitha took 1 wicket for Sri Lanka. That was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The US and Kiels are partnering to strengthen small businesses in Sri Lanka through an agreement to connect Kiels suppliers with private business advisory service providers. US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, said at the MOU signing that the small businesses that supply your grocery stores keep the economy going and drive job creation. Through this partnership, USAID's PST project will strengthen micro, small and medium enterprises by providing access to a variety of services including digital marketing, global certifications and financing. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to implement several regulatory measures to support the banking sector to facilitate effective financial intermediation and the flow of credit to the economy. The Central Bank said the above measures were introduced with the aim of providing the licensed banks with more flexibility and opportunities to operate in these challenging conditions and support economic recovery. That came to you in Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report. The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamur and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Gaul and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the Uva province and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or night. Strong winds about 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. And now to in this news broadcast, the main points once again. The Prime Minister points out the need to take policy decisions targeting exports. The Chief of Staff, Major General Vikum Lienage, to be appointed as the new commander of the Army. The Prime Minister's office introduces dedicated website for the Gota Go Gama to submit proposals. A new mobile application to monitor vehicles arriving at filling stations for refueling. Minister of Education says all the duties will be operated properly to run the sector of education smoothly. The National Dengue Control Unit warns of a possible rise in dengue cases. Leading zoologist warns the butterflies we may never see again in Britain. That ends this news broadcast.